And then Design Review. Design Review is a free all-digital way to view, mark up, print and track changes in your documentation. Works with 2D and 3D files without the original software and will read in a wide variety of file formats. In this instance I've dragged in here JPEG files, PDF files, AutoCAD files and Revit drawing sheets. I want to focus here on the Revit drawing sheet because the difference in this one from the other file formats is it brings through the information. The door is still a door. That partition is still a partition with 17 square meters. That ladder on the floor there is lockers, and the model can tell me that because that information has come through. It has a series of markup tools, very simple to use. Markup tools to contain decisions as they're being made. Mark these up and retain these within a single model, a single file location. I can add extra annotation to the markups to explain why decisions are being taken and why changes may be necessary. It has a series of very simple draw tools. These can be taught to anybody in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to communicate changes that may need to be made in the floor plans or whatever in the project. Again, that can be given a status, and you can add some more notes to say why that change is required or who's asking for it or any other information. And it tracks the date at which those markups were made. And because it's a model, it's come in to scale, so I can measure off it. I can measure linear dimensions. I can measure strings of dimensions for maybe room perimeters, for example, and it'll give me the total dimension there, 9.9 square meters. Meters. I can measure strings of dimensions for maybe checking travel distances to final exits, and I can also measure areas by clicking on the corners of the rooms or the corners of the spaces, and it'll report back the areas. Very simple. I just measure 2, but I could go around and just measure all the rooms if you weren't working on a Revit file. Obviously if you're working on a Revit file this may be a little bit unnecessary. You can export all these markups to a CSV file, and you can then extract all the quantities from that, quantities of the room areas from that. Once I've finished my markups, I can save the DWF file. I can go back into my Revit file, take a look at that sheet. I can link in the DWF markups, and they come in as an underlay in the Revit file. So the person who's actually editing the Revit file can very quickly and very easily see what needs to be changed. The other feature in Design Review that is incredibly useful is the compare sheets. I've opened revision A of that floor plan. I'm now through compare sheets opening revision B. Say OK, it'll do a little comparison between those two files, and it'll highlight for me in green and red anything that's been added in green, anything that's been taken away in red, and you can quickly and easily see what changes have taken place even if they're not clouded or identified. In Design Review you can export a full set of drawing sheets, so you can have these with you on your mobile device or on your laptop or PC. Full set of sheets, the section bubbles, the callouts are all hyperlinks effectively, so navigating through the sheets is incredibly simple, incredibly easy. In the 3D model, again, this is a free tool. It's very easy to view, to see, to clearly communicate how the building is going to look when it's finished. Because it's a federated model which is pulled together, as we saw from the structural file and the mechanical services file, we can isolate any of those files and go in and query particular objects within the mechanical file, for example. What's that box? What's that duct? We can likewise isolate the structure model. We can pick on elements within the structure model, such as the piled foundations, and it will give me the volume of concrete. I can pick on the floor slab or the beams. It'll give me ground beams. It'll give me the volume of concrete, or the area, or the perimeter. Whatever information I'm looking for, I can get out of this Revit exported file to DWF. I can also section through the model to go inside to see what's happening inside the model, and I can pull these sections to any position in the model that I want to. Plan sections, You can save these with the model, so you can always go back to them very quickly and easy, just turning them on and off. Vertical sections through the model, similarly. You can pull a section through the model to any particular point if you want. You can go back and move it, you can rotate it, you can name it, and you can flick back and back between those particular views in the model. Going in and looking at a particular area in the model, again, all the elements in the model, whether they're walls, partitions, doors, all have their data associated with it, and the model will show you which model or where they're coming from. In here, now this is not affecting the Revit file, you can select on objects and you can move them around. They still are objects. Now this is not affecting the main model, you would just be doing this for markup purposes and to communicate a change that you're looking for in the model. We can take snapshots of the model. These are separate 2D views of that 3D model. I can name that, I can save it. It becomes another view in the DWF file, saved in a single source. I can use the simple markup, 2D markup tools then to highlight and annotate what changes I'm looking for in that particular room or with that particular furniture layout. The snapshot tool is actually very useful because it allows you to take snapshots not just of the design review file, but of any file, website, specification document, and bring that into the design review file. And once it's in there, it becomes another view in that sheet. You can use the markups. So design review is an extremely useful tool for communication on a project, for markup, for keeping all the comments and all the things in the same place. I recommend that everybody, as a first off point of getting into